morning, students. Myself Dr. Ajay Kumar Jha, Associate Professor Surgery, GNM here. Today, I will deal about aspects of certain varieties of gangrene. We will deal about certain varieties of gangrene such as diabetic gangrene, traumatic gangrene, ergotism, gangrene following intra-arterial injection of thiopenton, frostbite, trenchfoot, chemical gangrene, venous gangrene and gas gangrene. Varieties of gangrene to be discussed are diabetic, traumatic, ergotism, intra-arterial injection of thiopenton, frostbite, trenchfoot, chemical gangrene, venous gangrene and gas gangrene. We will deal about certain aspects of these varieties of gangrene: diabetic gangrene, traumatic gangrene, ergotism, intra-arterial injection of thiopenton, frostbite, trenchfoot, chemical gangrene, venous gangrene and gas gangrene. We will deal about these varieties of gangrene one by one. Now we come to diabetic gangrene. In diabetes, gangrene is of moist type or wet type. There are three factors, three predisposing factors in diabetes which lead to gangrene development. Three predisposing factors. These are trophic changes due to number one is trophic changes due to peripheral neuritis. Number two is a trauma of arteries leading to ischemia. Number three is number three is sugar-laden tissues decreasing their resistance to infection, including fungal. So these are the three factors responsible for development of gangrene diabetes. Trophic changes due to peripheral neuritis, edema of arteries leading to ischemia, sugar-laden tissues decreasing their resistance to infection, including fungal. These are the three factors. What happens here in diabetes? Neuropathic changes impair sensation leading to neglect of minor injuries and inflammation. So, neglect of tissue injury, tissue damage is present. Neuropathic changes. It decreases sensation, impairs sensation. So, patient cannot feel injury to tissues and cannot feel the pain of inflammation. So, there is neglect of tissue injury and inflammation. So, when tissue is damaged, patient is unaware of the injury, and so he cannot take any protective action. Second is muscular involvement. Muscular involvement is accompanied by loss of reflexes and deformities such as neuropathic joints. Effects are: first is impairment of sensation. Due to neuropathic changes. Second is muscular involvement lead to loss of reflexes and deformities. Third is hard callosity they develop on soles. Thick callosities on sole. Thick callosity developed on sole. They are entry point of infection. These three things we find in diabetes. There is impairment of sensation due to neuropathic changes, muscular involvement lead to loss of reflexes and deformities, and thick callosities on sole, which are entry point of infection. Infection of fascia, tendon and bones. They travel fast in subfascial plane. Now, clinically, if dorsalis pedis and posterior tibial pulsation are present and there is absence of rest pain and intermittent claudication, it indicates that there is no associated atherosclerosis. Present is dorsalis pedis, posterior tibial pulsation. Present. Dorsalis pedis, posterior tibial pulsation present. Absent is rest pain, intermittent claudication. If these are present and these are absent, it indicates It indicates that there is no associated atherosclerosis. Okay? These indicate there is no associated atherosclerosis. Investigations. Investigations. Routine examination of urine, blood sugar, culture sensitivity of pus. Fourth is X-ray of affected part. X-ray of affected part to rule out osteomyelitis. Routine examination of urine, blood sugar, culture sensitivity of pus, X-ray of the affected part to rule out osteomyelitis. These are the 4 investigations which you require in case of diabetic gangrene. Treatment. How we are going to treat the case of diabetic gangrene? Number 1 is control diabetes. Control diabetes, number 1. Number 2 is antibiotics. After culture sensitivity of pus. Antibiotics. Third is surgical debridement and release of pus. Surgical debridement and release of pus. Fourth is care of wound. Care of wound. This includes dressing of wound regularly. Fifth is conservative amputation. Conservative amputation of the part affected. Such as toes, etc. So, what we do? We first control diabetes. Then we give antibiotics after cultures into a pus. We do surgical repairment of wound and release of pus. We take care of the wound. And in the last, conservative amputation of the part affected. Amputation should be conservative. Now we come to traumatic gangrene. Traumatic gangrene. Trauma may be direct trauma, indirect trauma. Indirect trauma indirect trauma. Examples are crushes, pressure sore or bed sore, or decubitus ulcer. Pressure sore, Fridays, intestinal obstruction, turbulence of blood. There is also trauma at the constricting groove. Here we get this traumatic, or rather it will be better to say strangulated bowel. Strangulated bowel. Crushes. Gangrene follows severe injury following passing of vehicle over a limb. Here gangrene is of moist variety and required is immediate amputation of the part. In crushes, gangrene is of moist variety and immediate amputation is required. Next is pressure sore or bed sore. Pressure sore are of two types, acute and chronic. Acute bed sore, it occurs due to disease or trauma of spinal cord. Disease or trauma of spinal cord, acute bed sore. Then there is chronic bed sore. Chronic bed sore, also known as postural bed sore. Postural bed sore. There are 5 factors responsible for development of this chronic bed sore. 5 factors. Responsible. Number 1 is pressure. Number 2 is injury due to wrinkle drosses. Chronic bed sore or postural bed sore. Five factors responsible are pressure, injury due to wrinkle drosses. Third is anemia. Fourth is malnutrition. Fifth is moisture. Moisture into sweat, urine, pus. These are the 5 factors responsible for development of chronic bed sore or postural bed sore. Number 1 is pressure on the part. Number 2 is injury due to wrinkle drosset. Number 3 is anemia. Number 4 is malnutrition. Number 5 is moisture due to sweat, urine, pus. Bed sore is anticipated if there is development of erythema which doesn't change color on pressure. You must remember this. Clinically, we find that there is development of erythema which doesn't change color on pressure. So at that place we should be ready to anticipate that bed sore will develop. Treatment. Treatment of bed sore. Treatment is treatment of bed sore. Protection of pressure points. Protection of pressure points by use of foam, PVC block, water bed, air cushion, etc. Protection of the pressure points is done by use of foam, PVC block, water bed, air cushion, etc. Second is keep the part dry. Keep the part dry by use of fans. Okay. Third is antibiotics. Antibiotics after ulcer-sensitivity of pus. Fourth is blood transfusion. Blood transfusion to correct anemia. Okay. Fifth is if patient is young and healthy, then excision of dead tissue and pedicle flap skin grafting. Excision of dead tissue and pedicle flap, skin, grafting. This is how we treat bed sore. Protection of pressure points by use of foam, PVC block, water bed, air cushion, etc. Keep the part dry by using fans. Antibiotics after culture switch of pus, blood transfusion to correct anemia, and last but not the least, if the patient is young and healthy, this is condition that patient should be young and healthy. In those cases, excision of dead tissue and pedicle flap skin grafting may be helpful. Indirect trauma. Causes are, here there is interference with blood vessel. In these cases, there is interference with blood vessel. Interference with blood vessel. Causes are pressure by fracture bone on vessels. Such as pressure over popliteal artery while fractured lowering of femur. First is pressure, second is thrombosis. Thrombosis of blood vessels. Due to injury. Third is ligation of main artery of limbs. Ligation of main artery of limb as occurs in its division by injury. There are three examples of indirect trauma. Causes: gangrene. Treatment. How we will treat? Treatment is directed to the cause. Treatment is directed to the cause. Close or open reduction of fracture along with direct arterial surgery for the damaged vessel may prevent onset of gangrene. What is done here? Close or open reduction of fracture along with direct arterial surgery for the damaged vessel may prevent onset of gangrene. Number 2 is keep the limb cool to minimize metabolism. Keep the limb cool to minimize metabolism. If the onset of gangrene is slow, one should wait for development of line of demarcation, which indicates level of vitality, and at that point amputation may be done. Okay? So if the gangrene is slow to develop, wait for line of demarcation to appear. If the gangrene is of web type and is spreading fast, then immediate amputation is required. These are the 3 points for treatment. First is close or open reduction of the fracture along with direct arterial surgery for the damaged vessel. This may prevent onset of gangrene. Keep the limb cooled so that to minimize the metabolism. Third is, if the gangrene is slow to develop, wait for development of line of demarcation. And then go for amputation. Otherwise, if the gangrene is of wet variety and is spreading fast, then go for immediate amputation. Now we come to ergotism. Ergotism. It occurs in migraine sufferers who, for prophylactic reasons, take ergot preparations over a long period. There develops gangrene of fingers, nose and ears. Cause is arterial occlusion, spasm, arterial spasm. Cause is arterial spasm. Treatment is withdrawal of the drug, that is ergot preparations. Withdrawal of the drug, use of vasodilators and conservative amputation or conservative excision. There are 3 points for treatment. Withdraw the drug, that is ergot preparations, use vasodilators and conservative amputation. Now we come to gangrene, following intravenous injection of hyopenton. Hyopenton or pentothal is a short-acting anesthetic agent. Was used previously for induction of anesthesia. If it is given by mistake in artery, then this phenomenon occurs. This gangrene develops. What happens? It is an occasional accident when division of brachial artery, high division of brachial artery, brachial artery division occurs at higher place. When high division of brachial artery results in one of its 2 terminal branches, more commonly ulnar artery, passing downwards and superficially in antecoital fossa. It passes superficially antecoital fossa. So what happens? If a person is giving some drug, going for giving some drug intravenous, he may enter in the artery by mistake and may inject the drug in artery. So, before giving any IV injection, one should feel for pulsation of the artery in the antecubital fossa. And at the same time, before giving injection, draw the plunger to see whether the incoming blood is venous or arterial. Arterial means bright red. If it is bright red, don't go for injection there. It indicates that you are in an artery. Okay? Immediately after injection, immediately there is severe pain and blanching of the hand. One feels severe pain and blanching in the hand and may result in gangrene of one or more fingers. Treatment, how we are going to treat? How we treat? Treatment. If needle is in position, that has not been taken out, then keep the needle in position and inject 5 ml of 1% procaine or 2% papaverine to obviate the vasospasm. We keep the needle in place, we inject 5 ml of 1% procaine or 2% papaverine to obviate the vasospasm. Dilute heparin solution should also be injected intra-arterially if the needle is in the position. Okay? Second condition is when needle is not in position, it has been taken out. But if there are facilities, one may open the vessel, one may open the artery, incise it, and any clot present is flushed with dilute heparin solution. I repeat, if needle is not in position and facilities are available, artery is exposed, incised, and any clot present is flushed with dilute heparin solution. After that, vein patch repair of the artery is done. Other options here are peri-arterial application of papaverine, intra-arterial injection of fibrinolizine, or IV infusion of low molecular weight dextran, that is lomodextran. These things can also be done. Third is brachial plexus block. Brachial plexus block should be done because there is severe pain. So this block, brachial plexus block, is a must here. This is about gangrene following intra-arterial injection of thiopentone, that is pentothiazide. Now we come to frostbite. Frostbite. Frostbite occurs due to exposure to cold, especially when accompanied with wind or high altitude, such as in climbers and explorers. So this is due to exposure to cold, especially when associated with wind or high altitude. So this is found in climbers and explorers. Frostbite is also encountered in elderly persons in cold spell. Pathologically, what we find here? Pathologically, there is damage of the vessel wall leading to transudation and edema. Pathologically, there is damage of vessel wall leading to transudation and edema. Pathologically. Clinically, what happens? Clinically, the sufferer experiences severe pain in the affected part. After that, the part assumes a waxy appearance, then becomes painless. If the condition is severe, then blistering and gangrene follows. Clinically, pain, clinically, patient experiences pain. After that, the part becomes waxy in appearance and painless. After that, blister occurs and gangrene follows. Treatment. How we are going to treat frostbite? Number one, affected part must be warmed very gradually. Must be warmed very gradually. Second is, affected part should be wrapped in cotton wool and kept at rest. Affected part should be wrapped in cotton wool and kept at rest. Third is, warm drinks and clothing should be provided. Warm drinks and clothing should be provided to the patient. Hyperbaric oxygen is beneficial. Hyperbaric oxygen is beneficial. A strong analgesic should be prescribed to counter the severe pain which heralds return of the circulation. When circulation returns, patient experiences severe pain. To counter that, a strong analgesic should be given. Chemical sympathectomy should be done. Chemical sympathectomy helps in relieving associated vasospasm. So, chemical sympathectomy should be done to relieve the associated vasospasm. And last but not the least is amputation should be conservative. Amputation should be conservative. So the points are: part must be worn very gradually, part should be wrapped in cotton wool, kept at rest, warm drinks and clothing should be provided, hyperbaric oxygen is beneficial, a strong analgesic should be given to relieve the pain, because pain indicates heralds return of the circulation. Chemical sympathectomy, it helps in relieving the associated vasospasm. Amputation should be conservative. 5 minutes. Last but not least, we are talking about trench foot. Trench foot. Trench foot, it is due to cold, damp and muscular inactivity. Cold, damp and muscular inactivity. It is precipitated by tight clothing such as garters, that is moja, ill-fitting shoes, etc. This happens in soldiers who are sitting in trenches for long period in cold seasons. So there this trench foot occurs. When sufferer, when opens the boot, takes out the boot, he feels numbness followed by severe pain. Numbness is followed by severe pain when he takes out the boot. The skin of the foot appears mottled like marble, and in severe cases, blisters with blood-stained serum develops and moist gangrene finally develops. Pathology and treatment are the same as frostbite. Okay, thank you.
Doctor,